messengers, a singular vision between Brindlewolf and Lunaria would turn into Rise Radio, radio inspiring singers everywhere. And not too long after that, Rise Awakenings would come onto the scene to bring you shows of inspiration, spiritual uplift, and heightened awareness. And together they formed the Rise Radio Networks. And just like the phoenix rising from the ashes, we have a new home on the web called Embers of Light. Come and check it out.
Start with the quiet parts, the things you hide behind your laugh. Sit with the ache a while. Let every question breathe and ask, who was I trying to be? Who am I when I just stay? Name every tender scar and let them have their say. Till your heart carries you. This is the blue.
Pages of old beliefs, stories that kept you playing small. Lay them out on the floor, see which ones never fit at all. Offer your younger self a kindness you never from the soil of your sorrow.
Hello, good morning. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to The Bloom. If you are new here, the wisdom shared in this podcast is based on my personal experience and the knowledge that I have gained in my educational and healing journeys. And it is shared in the greatest degree of love. May it resonate with whomever it is meant to. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I'll get to every chat question as fast as I can. And thank you, Micah, for all your help with all that behind the scenes stuff. And if you do feel called to take a deeper dive into your own personal growth and evolution, you can find me on healingrose.org and all of the socials. And I am honored to have you here with me today. So today we are talking about trust. So let's all take a collective deep breath in, a real one, the kind that you actually, that reaches down into your belly. Because today what we talk about is one of the most intimate relationships you're ever going to have. Not the one with your partner, your parent, or your dearest friend, the relationship that you have with yourself. And especially, specifically, how deeply you have learned to trust the person you live inside of. So how many of you at some point in your journey second-guessed a decision that you made? One your gut told you was right and later you wished you had just listened to yourself? And how many of you have gotten better at that, but feel like there's still another layer waiting for you? So you've already done the foundational work. You know how to pause before reacting. You've learned to recognize the difference between your ego's voice and your soul's whisper. You've sat in the discomfort of growth and chosen it anyway. And you've made it off the foothills. So today we're going deeper into the mountain. Let's go. So what we're building today is not self-confidence, which is a mental construct and a fragile one at that. That's another branch. We're building something more ancient, more cellular, and more sacred. We are building self-coherence. Self-coherence, the state in which your mind, body, and your nervous system and your soul are no longer just in conversation with each other. They are in communion, okay? At the beginning of the trust journey, the work looks like learning to recognize self-sabotage, second-guessing decisions already made, seeking constant external validation, shrinking before anyone told us to, ignoring the gut in favor of what looked right on the outside. Okay, that's kind of what it looked like. So these were all intelligent adaptations to the environments that were not safe, right? The trauma, whether it was one thing or a cumulative compilation, taught us that our instincts were unreliable. We stopped trusting our own choosing. We stopped trusting ourselves to choose others. That cycle fed itself. Distrust others, doubt your own judgment, more isolation, more distrust. You see what we do to ourselves and what we've been through? That's a lot. So we've gotten ourselves this far. And the foundational healing was learning to name that cycle, right? And to gently begin interrupting it. So that work's not small. It is not preliminary. It was the sacred act of deciding that you were worth listening to. And because you did that work, because you showed up imperfectly and beautifully and kept going, you are now standing at the threshold. The question is no longer, can I trust myself? The question has become something far more refined. Which part of me is speaking right now, and do I know the difference? This is where the real initiation begins, because basic self-trust says, I will listen to my gut, and deep self-trust says something more nuanced, more discerning, and more powerful. I understand the difference between my gut, my wound, my conditioning, and my soul. And I know which one is speaking right now. So let's learn about our inner voices. I believe that the Healing Rose has 4 inner voices. Let's talk about the 4. I'm going to name 4 of them. Inner voices. Let's learn about that. It's not just one gut voice that we need to listen to. We have our own little symphony that communicates with us. And that symphony requires the conductor. And guess who's the conductor? So these are the 4 primary voices operating within us at any given moment. the nervous system and the survival signals, right? The fight, flight, freeze, fawn, ancient, fast, and most often mistaken for intuition. They're not wrong, they're protective, but they're reading the past, not the present. Okay, so that's nervous system voice. The ego, fear-based narrator that you have in your head, that inner voice that compares, contracts, catastrophize. That's a word that it's hard to say this morning. Catastrophizes, right? That ego fear-based one catastrophizes everything. That voice is trying to keep us safe, but its information is filtered through every wound you've ever carried. So that's another voice. The somatic wisdom, the soma, the body, okay? The wisdom of the body, the deep cellular intelligence, the pre-verbal, precognitive, and most often honest voice in the room, right? Your chest tightens, the expansion of the belly, your hands sweat, you get all kinds of bodily responses. It's the inexplicable ease or heaviness in the presence of certain people that you feel in the body. And then there's the soul level knowing, that still, clear, directionless certainty that does not argue with itself. It does not chase. It does not repeat itself anxiously. It simply is. And when you are quiet enough, you know in that moment, you hear it. So I don't want to get all sciencey on you, but let me just quickly remind you of the polyvagal theory. The nervous system operates in three primary states, right? The ventral vagal, the safe, connected, open part of you, the sympathetic, the mobilized threat part of you, and the dorsal vagal collapsed shutdown. So here is the critical insight for your practice. Your perception of other people and yourself is fundamentally filtered through whichever state of your nervous system you're currently in. You cannot accurately perceive any situation, any person, or even your own inner knowing when your system is in a threat response. We talk about that ad nauseum on all of our shows, right? So we call it survival mode. So deep self-trust requires, as it is its first discipline, the ability to know your own nervous system state before you draw any conclusions, okay? And that will assist you in becoming more aware. So let's talk about the state of awareness as a spiritual discipline for yourself. Before making any significant decision or before forming any significant assessment of another person, ask yourself not what do I feel, but what state is my nervous system in right now? What state is my nervous system in right now? These are different questions. One identifies emotions, the other one identifies your current capacity to perceive clearly. It perceives yourself. Where's your nervous system at? Okay? Ask yourself, am I mobilized, anxious? Am I reactive? Am I constricted? Running on old data? Are you regulated? Are you present, grounded, spacious, able to receive what is actually here? Regulation is not suppression. Remember, it's returning yourself to the state in which your full intelligence, mental, emotional, somatic, and spiritual intelligence is available to you. So in these arenas, we talk about doing specific things to regulate your nervous system, whether it's conscious breath work, bilateral movements like walking and tapping, intentional prayer or meditation or mantras, co-regulating in a safe community, and all kinds of other tools that we give you to help you relax your nervous system, okay? So many of us were never taught to distinguish between what we feel and what is true. We absorb the stories our nervous system told us as if they were facts, and we call anxiety intuition. Yikes. We called avoidance wisdom. Call myself out on that one. And we call people-pleasing compassion. This level of journey calls us to something far more honest and far more loving. It calls us to see ourselves clearly with tenderness so that we can finally see and be seen by others the same way. So how do we wake up that inner oracle. The Alliance of Divine Love teaches us that we are each direct expressions of the divine, not metaphorically, not aspirationally, but literally and presently, which means that the intuitive faculty living inside of you is not a lucky guess or a spiritual personality quirk. It's a direct line. I used to tell my mom I have a direct connection. I cut out the middleman. It is a frequency, because we talk about frequency and vibration too on these shows. It is a frequency through which the infinite chooses to communicate with you through the beautiful, irreplaceable specificity of who you are, your uniqueness. When you deepen your self-trust, you're deepening your trust to that line, that direct connection. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond your body and is immeasurably influenced by our emotional and intentional states. When we enter cardiac coherence, that synchronized state of intentional, regulated, heart-centered awareness, our perception starts to sharpen, right? Our cortisol drops, our access to what researchers call intuitive intelligence measurably increases. This is the science underneath what every spiritual teacher has called centering, right? We also get to your center. It's that heart and mind coherence, that breathing into your heart that we talk about, that we did earlier. In the science underneath what every spiritual teacher will call centering, and that breathing and that relaxation, it's not mysticism dressed in metaphor. It's biology expressing something sacred. So we need to pay attention to the techniques that we use in order to bring ourselves back into a state of calm so that we can think more clearly. This is all, you've heard us say these on different shows too. So this is all tying into learning how to trust yourself on a deeper level, beyond the fundamental basics. So one of the most important things you can do at this level of your journey is to learn the specific felt signatures of your own intuition, because it is distinct from fear and it is distinct from desire. And confusing any of these has consequences, okay? Fear contracts, repeats, escalates, and asks, what if something bad happens? It has an urgency and a chasing quality to it, right? That's fear. Desire reaches, idealizes, and asks, what if this thing I've been waiting for? What if it's the thing that I've been waiting for, right? It has a grasp quality. Like sometimes when you grasp too tight, that's not good. So intuition is still, it's clear, it's directionless. So that means directionless to me, and why I use that word is because you're not propelling your judgments on it. You're just observing it for what it is. So don't point your intuition in a space coming from fear and desire. Let it be whatever it is and observe it in its stillness. I just wanted to clarify that before I continue on. It does not argue. It does not amplify. It simply knows. And it will wait for you to catch up. And sometimes that shows in the form of repeating cycles. Okay, you'll still have that initial knowing. Usually it's the first thought that comes to you. That's usually your intuition, but we usually start dismissing that and replacing it with the baggage. So you can do practices to help you tune into yourself and calibrate yourself. And you can do these daily practices for, at minimum, I'm going to say 30 days. Everyone is different, but in order to formulate new habits and rewire your brain, you need to figure out when you have that habit start forming for yourself, where it just becomes part of your everyday. So you can Google different techniques to tune into your intuition, or you can reach out to Micah or myself or Carrie. Okay. So let me talk to the neurospices real quick, because I know there's a lot of us here. Hi. Research shows that many neurodiverse individuals have naturally permeable, high-tuned inner receivers, right? Am I right? How many of us constantly doesn't stop? What has often been labeled as anxiety, overwhelm, and too much is, in a regulated and supported container, one of the most extraordinary intuitive capacities of the human being can possess. Let me translate what I just said to myself and to the world. Us neurospices are a little more in tune and we get a lot of information. So when we can support ourselves and regulate ourselves, whoo, mama, there's no stopping us. Okay, moving on. If you have always felt things more deeply than other people around you, your nervous system is not broken. It's tuned into a finer frequency. The work is not to dampen the signal. The work is to build the container strong enough to hold it without burning. And if you're neurospicy, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. The circle is part of the container. This practice of giving yourself space to circle into your awareness with the practices that you're going to do every day. Okay, so that's that practice. That's part of your container. So you're not too much, you're exactly enough, and then some. So you just have to work on getting in touch with your nervous system and understanding all four voices and what they're trying to say to you so that you can be that proper container to hold what information you're getting. I used to say too much information, not enough data. I mean, too much data, not enough storage. That's what I used to say. I don't say that anymore. I just say, oh, it's in an archive. It'll come back out. Because I don't want to tell myself that I don't have the capacity, which is in essence what I used to be doing by saying too much data, not enough storage. That's not fair to say. The truth is, and the reality is I'm processing so much information all at once that it's going to disappear into an archive somewhere until I need it in that moment, and then it'll come back up. So start working on practicing tuning into yourself. Your intuition is not a passive gift, okay? It is an active technology for you to work with. And this is true for everyone, not just the neurospices. The neurospices just got to learn how to manage them. And like any technology, it becomes more precise and more intent with the more intentionality that you use, okay? So that's why I'm saying do a practice every single day until it becomes habit for you, because that's the intentionality part. The invitation at this level of your journey is to stop treating your inner knowing as a nice surprise when it shows up. I'm calling all y'all out. How many times have we all said, I was right? And begin cultivating it as the primary instrument through which you navigate through your life. I always say my higher self drives this vehicle, which is basically all four voices singing in harmony with one another. So how does this all translate outwards? Okay, because that's what we really want to know. We're going to eat up all this self-trust stuff, but how does that translate to others? So let's move from self-trust to conscious discernment with others as we now arrive at the place where all of this inner work meets the outer world. Because you can do everyday practice, regulate every response, clear every energetic pattern, and still find yourself uncertain about the humans standing right in front of you. So this is where discernment with others comes in. It's not about suspicion. It's about building higher walls. It's about learning to see clearly with love, and trusting what you see. Okay? Now, we've had other shows, including Phoenix Talks, talk about discernment versus judgment. So you can go look those shows up to dive deeper into that. But right now, I'm going to talk to you with regards to trust. So the distinction is essential and must land clearly. Judgment evaluates from separation. They're bad, unsafe, wrong, right? Discernment evaluates from wholeness. This dynamic does not align with my inner healing. This situation is not aligned with what I choose to experience. I can see it clearly. I love them, and I'm still going to choose differently. That's discernment. It's rooted in self-awareness. Judgment is rooted in fear or desires that are unmet. And only one of them keeps your heart open. Discernment does not require the other people to be villain for you to make a different choice. You can hold someone's beauty and their limitations in the same hand. That's mature, conscious love. The Alliance of Divine Love calls us to see the divine in every soul. And I'm mentioning them today because this is important with regards to self-trust, because that is a relationship with your soul. And seeing every person as a divine, unique, individual soul, while honoring the divine in ourselves enough to maintain boundaries that are sacred, not punitive. That's the goal, okay? Before your conscious mind has formed a single opinion about another person, your nervous system has already run thousands of assessments based on tone, microexpression, proximity, rhythm of their speech, and energetic field coherence. Remember, because we have electromagnetic fields several feet. So that means we're in each other's energetic field, okay? The body's below conscious automatic detection of safety and threat cues is going to be what you're looking at, okay? It's not your imagination. I'm validating you. Don't dismiss it. It's a sophisticated biological intelligence. Maybe we're the AI. Deep thoughts. The advanced practice is learning to distinguish between what your nervous system is detecting in the present moment versus what it is remembering from your past. Okay? At this level of your journey, the question is not only, is this person safe? It becomes something richer. Does this relationship call me toward expansion or contraction? Does it invite me to rise or quietly and gradually sink? People do not have to be harmful to be misaligned with your frequency. Some relationships are simply a different octave. And discernment means holding that awareness with grace, without superiority, and without abandoning your own vibration to maintain a connection. We are all aware that different emotional and spiritual states carry different energetic signatures, and we are constantly in resonance with and influenced by the fields around us. This is why your community matters profoundly. We talk about that a lot on other shows. Who you have around you matters. Environment is not peripheral to your spiritual growth. It is formative of it. Who you have around you matters. You are all in choosing to be in this circle together with me today and choosing a higher frequency container. Okay? That is not accidental. That is intentional, and that is sacred. Trusting others at this level means trusting your perception of frequency, not perfectly, but increasingly, the more you practice, as you clear your own field and develop your own inner instrument, okay? Trusting others at this depth is not about lowering your discernment. It's about raising your capacity to love without losing yourself. Raising your capacity to love without losing yourself. To remain genuinely open without becoming energetically porous. How many of us overgive? To be in full, present, vulnerable relationship and still know exactly who the hell you are. That is the signature of someone who has truly done the work, not someone who has all the answers, okay? Someone who has found the stillness inside themselves from which all answers eventually come. What we have walked through right now, from naming the patterns that once kept us small, to honoring the healing that we've already done, to stepping into the deeper technologies of our own intuition and regulation and conscious discernment. What we are ultimately building is what the ancient tradition called integrity, not as a moral standard, but as in its original sense, the whole meaning of the word, undivided. We are an integer, meaning whole, complete. When your nervous system, your mind, your body, and your soul are all telling the same story, you are living in integrity and from a place of wholeness. Trust is not something you decide to offer, it flows because you are no longer at war with yourself inside. The 3 anchors to carry you through the week. Okay, let's talk about that real quick. Okay, so regulation before revelation. Discernment is an act of love, and trust is a frequency, not a decision. I'm going to say those again. Regulation before revelation. Discernment is an act of love, and trust is a frequency, not a decision. Okay? And I'm going to leave you with this before we open up the chat. You have always been the most trustworthy person in the room of your own life. Always. You have survived everything that was designed to make you doubt yourself over and over again. You have shown up imperfectly, beautifully, and with extraordinary courage every single time. And all of that work, every circle, every breath, every practice, every hard conversation, every moment you choose to stay when it would have been easier to shut down, none of it was about acquiring wisdom you didn't already have. It was about removing everything that was placed in front of the wisdom that was always already irreversibly yours. So today, I hope you feel a little bit less obstructed, a little more transparent to your own light, and a little more willing to trust the magnificent, irreplaceable, divinely tuned instrument that you are. So I am going to dive into the chat now. And here's some affirmations for you to speak for yourself. I am a coherent being. My body knows, my soul speaks. I listen with love to myself and to life. And what I perceive with love, I can trust. So, and I know you're all processing, so it takes a minute for questions to even come up because this, this is deeper work than what you're used to. And yes, we went there today. Cash Angels, what's going on with you? Because I could see what's happening in the chat here. What's surfacing for you? It was very painful to play the empty vessel while so much beautiful came in. Yes, absolutely. And for me, recognizing the difference within my body so that I have more information sometimes isn't a quick thing. So I also want to remind everyone how different we are in the sense of our journeys are unique and our timelines are very unique. So if you feel like, well, shoulda, coulda, woulda, stop shooting on yourself, because the reality is you don't know how you're going to feel unless you actually assess it. This isn't rumination. This isn't replaying problems and things. This is checking in with you and having all of your faculties, all your intelligences, I consider 4 of them, with you and accounted for and regulated so that you can make your intuition unburied with all the junk on top of it. Okay? And it's easier to surface your intuition. So I know a lot of you are still learning how to navigate what's anxiety and what's not. And so that's why practicing that conscious awareness of self matters so much. Because when thank you, pulling the questions from the archives in my neurospicy mind. Bubblekin says, that's close to what I said. Hold on, let me find the file. So true. They're in there. They're in the back of the file. I was pointing to the back of my head. They're back here somewhere. Bubblekin says, after years of living in chaos and trauma, learning to trust myself has been scary and confusing. However, getting the clarity is refreshing. Yes. And this is why I wanted to talk about this, because it's really sometimes that discernment and judgment piece gets really muddled together. And there's a Phoenix Talks on that somewhere. There might be 2 of them, actually. So do a search for 1 or 2 of those episodes, because we do have to check in with our body first. We do have to check in with our nervous system. We do have to check in with our mental state and our emotional state, and give some space for ourselves to trust what we're feeling, right? So let's learn to slow ourselves down in that pause. The question is, what happens when you've allowed the programming of distrust to be your compass? What happens is that you're always going to shrink and contract. You're always going to self-sacrifice. You're not going to put yourself on the priority list. You're going to repeat all of those cycles, and we're just going to keep making not the good circles. Lunaria says, I think it gets pretty hard to trust yourself after all the trauma. It sure as heck does. This why I'm doing this show. Yes, it does. And I'm pretty much repeating what is being talked about right now. But when you've made so many bad choices, okay, so let me stop at that statement right now. I don't want to say I made bad choices anymore, because I'm shaming myself for making the best choices that I could with the knowledge and information and circumstances that I was in. And the choices kept me safe, alive, and got me out of there and into where I'm at now. So they're not bad choices. They were not, you didn't have the full picture. Your intuition was buried under piles of nervous system dysregulation, ignoring your disassociation from your physical body. So you're ignoring your body's signs telling you something is off, right? The wrong choice caught me. What I didn't know then. Yeah, it teaches you. It teaches you what you don't like and what doesn't resonate and what isn't aligned. So that's where you learn discernment. You learn discernment in the choices that didn't go as you thought they would. That's where your learning is. So there's never bad choices. I mean, it wasn't a bad choice for me to move to Ohio. It didn't work out the way I had an expectation of, because that expectation was discussed and agreed upon. And it didn't work out that way, but it wasn't a bad choice. It was the choice that I needed to make to move myself forward in life. Is it uncomfortable as fuck? Yes. Heck yes. None of this is comfortable or easy, and it's not even smooth. It takes repetition, it takes practice, and life has to unfold so that you have opportunities to practice all the stuff that you're learning on Phoenix Talks, on Illuminate, on the Core, on this show, on Brindle Vision. So keep watching because you're learning. And Lunaria says, but when you go through all your shit and sit with your mistakes, and I do know I was doing the best I could with what I knew, and then you kind of feel empty, like you don't know who you are anymore. Total apathy and lack of any emotional state takes over. Yes. So that to me speaks to a level of dissociation with ourselves, because it's painful to sit in the reality. The reality is painful because it's painful, not because of you and your choices. Your experiences are meant to show you who you are and who you are not. And so it's a perspective shift to help you pull yourself out of that apathy, and to assist yourself in pulling yourself out of that apathy. Then there's things that you need to allow yourself permission to give yourself to help yourself. So that's support from others. That's engaging in creative activities. That's taking a chance on learning something new or doing something new and different, so that you can get comfortable with the discomfort in different areas that maybe might bring you joy that you didn't know you needed. So go towards what you've been pulled to and what you feel resonant with, and expand in those specific areas first, because you already have a real pull to them. In apathy, when we just don't give a shit about the same stuff that we used to like, that's where you expand it to something new and different from what you're done with the comfortable. You're already done. Been there, done that, don't want to do it again. It wasn't worth the price. So that apathy is fueled by your decision to give up on your future. And we only have right now. So let's not worry about that. Let's keep it in the right now and decide, how do I want to feel right in this moment? I exist as a human. I'm going to be here for a while. So how do I want to feel in this moment? And help yourself move forward. Right. Nothing resonates anymore because it's like, ugh, this. And I want to say this is normal. This is absolutely a normal stage in the healing process, especially when there has been abuse over a long period of time in different forms at different times. Okay, that's CPTSD. So we become apathetic because there's that part of us that's like, I give up. We do not want to give up on ourselves because we were not the problem. The circumstances showed us who we are and aren't. We as a divine being within ourselves are love. It's the crap that we experience all around us that we need to alleviate ourselves from and unbury that. Like that seed needs to poke through the ground. I feel like apathy is before the seed cracks. That's what happens. Because apathy, that seed could either crack or not crack. Is the seed going to crack and grow and break through all that fluff and junk that got in the way so that the wisdom can shine up and out? So there's different processes that we can do for ourselves to pull ourselves out of that apathetic state. Okay. If you can book a session with some of us, if some of you are going through the apathy, who are listening or who are just witnessing, you can book with somebody, talk to somebody, find somebody who you would trust with your life, trust your soul with. If you don't have a person like that in your world, choose one of us, okay? Me, Carrie, or Micah. Because I want you to elevate yourself out of those places. Yes, and it's totally normal. It's absolutely normal for you to lose all desire or all this, all that, because it's what's the point? That's the feeling. The feeling is what's the point? Right. When you feel at that place of what's the point, remind yourself, well, we only have now and I get to choose what I feel. So what am I going to experience for myself right now? Am I clinging on to like this, the fears and desires? Is that running the show for me? Because we talked about the fears and desires. What has a chokehold on you? What are your jail cell bars made of in your mind? Are they made of the judgment? Are they made of the lack? Are they made of the violations, the betrayals? Or are we going to choose consciously to decide, what can I do to love myself a little bit more deeply, and evaluating what resonated and what didn't resonate? Yes, Bubble Kittens, you're finding yourself in a place where you want love, but don't trust it, myself or anyone else yet. Yes. And you're finding that it's not just in a romantic sense, but also in any sense. Correct. So this is all part of the process of healing. And I'm so grateful that you're bringing this up. So this is where the self-trust piece has to come first. And you don't have to share yourself with anyone. We feel isolated in the healing journey sometimes, and it gets a little lonely sometimes because we're figuring out who we are. From birth, we have all these layers planted on top of us: society, culture, religion, family members, friends, teachers, whoever's in our lives. We have all these layers thrown on top of who we actually are and who we choose to be. The only way to find out who that really is for us to understand and learn our bodies, learn how to work this vessel. I'm still learning how to drive this vehicle. Okay. There are things that I'm still learning about my body, and my body changes too, because hormones change, this changes, food changes, dietary. There's a lot of factors involved. So learning to trust yourself first is going to help you later on down the line with the discernment that you're going to develop from learning what's yours and what's not yours. This trusting yourself carries over into all aspects of your life. Job offer, trust your intuition. I had to work through I had a job offer that came up for me recently. My initial intuition told me no, but I still walked through. It took me 2 weeks to walk through the process of checking in with all faculties, external sources, and putting it all together for me to still say no. But that's okay because I had my discernment with me and I made an educated, regulated, and clear decision. You do not have to believe the perceptions of others, something your producer still battles. Yes. Ooh, that's a good one. You don't have to believe anything anybody says. The only voice that matters, the only voices that matter are the ones that talk to you. You have to believe yourself. And this is you, this self-trust, a level of self-trust is you entering into your sovereignty or learning what your sovereignty looks like. It helps you learn where your boundaries are. It helps you learn what people make you feel when you're in their presence. And other people's limitations cannot be yours. So remind yourself in that. And Lunaria says, realizing I have never truly felt unconditional love and craving that so badly my whole life has unfortunately led me to grab hold of some pretty awful people. I don't want to continue weeding through the idiots, but at the same time, crave it so badly. Okay, so that part of that is conditioning. We are systematically and historically programmed to believe that we aren't worthy unless we receive external unconditional love. That's really, unfortunately, the damage that's been done by a patriarchal system. That's not a you problem, that's an everyone problem. And so, Lunaria, many of us have never felt true unconditional love. And most of us crave it. It is a natural part of our being because our natural state of being is that pure love. So when we give ourselves that pure unconditional love, it's part of that self-trust. We're trusting ourselves because we love ourselves unconditionally. So to love ourselves, to feel that unconditional love from ourselves, standing firm in our truth, making our discernment paramount within ourselves based on those voices, the nervous system, the somatic response, our inner intelligence, and our spiritual intelligence. Okay. So part of the problem with unconditional love is that we all try to define what it actually is instead of just loving. Okay. So let me define unconditional love. And it might be controversial in the way I define it, but let me define unconditional love. Okay. So unconditional love does not mean unconditional tolerance, does not mean accepting circumstances and situations and forcing yourself to be in them. What it does mean is you believe that you matter and you are worthy. And so therefore, you are going to love yourself no matter what it is that you think you did wrong or bad or this or that or the other, and recognize that you deserve the compassion that you so freely give to everybody else. That unconditional love for yourself cannot have any judgments. No judgments whatsoever. At the root of your pain is the judgment that you're holding of the decisions that were made when you did not have all four intelligences at your disposal clearly at all. That's not fair. That's not the game is rigged. That's not fair. Don't do that to yourself. Remove the judgment piece and you'll find underneath it that unconditional love and that compassion, because you deserve that love and compassion from yourself. And everyone else around you will see that you're different like that. And then wonder, whoa, what are they doing? They seem unfuckwithable. I know I owe like another $5 to the show for my cursing. The idea of learning to trust yourself more deeply is directly related to you giving yourself unconditional love. trusting yourself is an act of pure unconditional love for yourself, because anything stopping you from trusting yourself is the judgment you have out of fear, desire, shame, guilt, all of that jazz, all of that stuff we don't want. I just broke out into song in my head, and all that jazz. Okay, stop. So you can pull yourself out of apathy by reminding yourself we only have the present moment, here and now. And thank you all for being with me here and now. We only have a choice to make for ourselves. And we've gotten a lot of choice cards on the core lately and on Illuminate and on the other shows. So what choice are we going to make for ourselves going forward? Are we going to trust what the heck we're talking about? Or are we going to let the conditioned, the broken system and the fears that it created within us and the traumas that came from those broken systems and fears, are we going to let that be our intuition and our guide in life? Or are we going to actually move those things out of the way and give ourselves the freedom and the opportunity to believe in ourselves? We're not going to get it right, imperfectly. And right is very different for each of us as individuals, because remember, you yourself are a divine being, whole and complete as you are. What you're doing is unburying yourself. That's what you're doing. The seed has to crack and break open for the truth of you to come to the surface and bloom. Okay? So, she's not saying that shit about my reading tonight. Oh, goodness. No more judging. That has to leave your presence. That has to leave your world. There can't be any more judgments. So there's no shame involved with judging yourself, because remember, that's the habit, that's the conditioning and the programming we're trying to eliminate for ourselves. So your homework, first and foremost, to assist yourself in trusting yourself more deeply, is to remove any and all judgments. So ask yourself every time you have a thought, how does it make you feel? Check in with your body, your spirit, your mind, your nervous system. How does that thought make you feel? Is it aligned with your heart? Does it make you feel shame, guilt, remorse, resentment, whatever? If it does, then we need to take away the judgments that are creating those emotions and give ourselves permission to free ourselves from that, so that we can allow the wisdom that's underneath it, our truth that's in our heart, to surface. Okay? Get in touch with all four aspects of your inner intelligence. And I'm going to leave it at that, because I know that we're almost time. Wow, guys, this was a powerful one. Thank you so much. And so don't hold judgments of yourself, because even when other people judge you, you're judging yourself. And Cash Angel says, if love is a flower, I gave that divine flower, who scrambled and mocked it. I died 1,000 deaths, didn't like anything, self was gone, and then I hated the darkness and decided to just be in grounding a few flowers. I'm not sure if I'm saying that, because it is unendless, and I'm trying to read the rest of that. Unendless, and where is it? Hold on. I found it. The unendless, the live energy that you are, yes, that I am, is eternal. I still don't like it. I feel like it might not be the same beauty flower, but it'll be more. I more consciously nurture and sometimes neglect them, but at least they're mine and they're here to stay. Yes. So understand that you're just taking off what isn't yours. All of our life experience is a journey of us learning who we are. And we need to take off the things that didn't fit us, that don't truly fit us. There's no shame in that, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's us using our discernment so that we can learn how to trust our own voices and make that coherence. We're learning how to make ourselves coherent. Okay? So listening to your body, getting back in touch with, stop separating from your own physical body. Allow yourself to sit with yourself without judgment or shame and see how different you feel. Because it's not that dark when you're shining a beautiful, compassionate, loving light on top of it. It's painful. It's sad. You can give yourself compassion and allow yourselves to feel the hurt. That's okay. But I don't want you to shame or judge yourself for any of that. We've all lived through some funky shit. All of us. There ain't nobody that coming out of this unscathed, okay? But we can learn to trust ourselves again. So today we got the blueprint on how to do that. And I want you to do your homework and get rid of the judgment first so that you can learn how to get in touch with yourself, okay? Because that judgment is your big wall. That's your big block. No more blocking yourself. I love you all so much. Go to Embers of Light, find out all the things and the lineups and all that jazz. And Wednesday is Stay Open. That's a great follow-up to this too. Stay open. That's going to be our topic on Phoenix Talks. And go love yourself today. No more judgments. No more shame. Spark your own fire again. Okay. Love you bunches, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Did I miss anything, Micah? I'm sure.
From the soil of your sorrow, petals from pain, new color in tomorrow. You walk through the dark with a soft, steady truth, holding your heart till your heart carries you. This is the This is the blue.
Hey, this is Brindle Wolf.
And I'm Lunaria.
You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action.
We're here to spark your growth, lift your spirit, and help you crush your potential.
Rise Awakening, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken. Rise Awakening, now is the dawn. Rise Awakenings, let's rise together.